Hello students, I am Yogesh Pingle, Assistant Professor in Department of Information Technology, Vidyavardhini's College of Engineering and Technology. In this technical talk, I am going to talk about the very important aspect regarding full stack developer using the month stack, and there is one more requirement for developing the mobile apps as well using Dart and Flutter. So let's see one by one. I'm going to contain the following points. One is what is the meaning of actually full stack developer and the demand of full stack developer in India. Then what do you mean by month stack? And the next is very important thing, that building the apps for iOS as well as Android with a single code base using Dart and the Flutter framework. And some important points of Dart programming language that I'm going to cover. First point is what is the meaning of full stack development. Once you're talking about full stack, it's a technological combination of both the front end and the back end in which a developer holds the exercise of the both ends. Now that the area has gone where we were discussing about the database developer, the front end developer, so on and so forth. Now it's a requirement as a full stack development. And the full refers to the collection of the series of different kinds of technologies or different frameworks. And the stack, it refers to the combination of technologies in modules to complete the development cycle of the project successfully. What are the different kinds of popular stacks are available? The first one, like month stack. Month stands for MongoDB, Express.js, React.js, and Node.js. Django stack is there. Ruby on Rails, Mean stack, Limp stack, and Lamp stack. All these stacks are there. You can learn any kind of stack which is requirement for different kinds of companies which are required. The demand of full stack developer in India, if you look at this particular website, Glassdoor, then you will come to know that a lot of requirements are already available. So it is the particular student's job, to get acquainted with all these technologies, any one of the full stack developer, and go ahead with this. Okay. If I am targeting to the month stack, then month stack stands for, as I told you, it's a MongoDB. And once you are talking about the MongoDB, it's nothing but a NoSQL. NoSQL means everything is based on your JSON file. There are two kinds of things, something called as a record, that is something called a document. How you are keeping the document? You are going to keep it in a document in JSON format. Once you compile the JSON file, it converts into the BASIN, binary object notation file. So MongoDB is like a cross-platform object-oriented database program. It's classified as a NoSQL database, right? So it is very, very important that the NoSQL, how it is going to be managed with the help of JSON. Express.js is there. Express.js is nothing but it's a backend web application framework for Node.js. So on the top of Node.js, you put the Express.js. It's free and open source software. React.js is again used for the front end development. It's an open source front end, right? And you might have heard the React.js from the Swapnil Misri is a better person to explain you about the React. The Node.js is like a backend development, is used for the backend development, and on the top of Node.js, as I told you, Express.js, you can able to do the programming on it. Now, once I'm talking about a Dart and Flutter, so building the apps for both the platform like iOS as well as Android. So this is going to be there, or people are using this Dart, right, everywhere. So what is Dart? Dart is a different kinds of programming language. It is a client optimized programming language for apps on multiple platforms. It is developed by Google. I will come to this Dart programming language in detail after this particular slide. Flutter framework. So it's an open source UI software development created by Google only, right? So on the top, what you can see, it's a Flutter framework. It is having something like widgets, with the help of which you can able to design a kinds of front end. Whereas the business logic, whatever you are doing the coding, it is there in the Dart programming. And you can see the different kinds of popular apps which is developed by the Flutter framework nowadays. So many of the companies, they are using now the Flutter framework. Obviously, as a business logic, you have to do the programming in Dart. So Dart programming is going to be there, which is very important. Now, from this particular slide, I am going to talk only about the Dart programming language, which is the heart of this tech talks. The Dart programming, as we know, the C programming language, which is a procedural language, came in 1972, and everywhere we used a C as well. Now, if the Dart, if you come to know, it's a Google right product. It came in 2011, and it's a multi-paradigm. So it can be used for web development, it can be used for mobile development, gaming development, as well as embedded development. This is very important. Why Dart is much more popular, and why Google has invented this? Because Google knows the different kinds of platforms are available. So let's capture all the functionalities from all different kinds of languages and build a new language. That language is called a Dart language. So what are the different features of the Dart? Let's take one by one. It's object oriented. It is inspired from JS, JavaScript, Java, C++, as well as C#. It is inspired from all these things. Then you will come to know, once I will actually show you how you can just do the different kinds of programming with the help of Dart. You can have the functional programming over here, async programming. We have got a open source. This is an open source product, and you can see the general purpose and scalable programming of Dart. So you can have the combination of Angular plus Dart for development of front end. You may have the Node and Dart for backend development. You may have the Flutter and Dart for mobile app development. So you can see that a Dart is a programming language which can be used for any kind of this development purpose. You may talk about front end, back end, as well as mobile development. Dart is going to be used, and with the help of Angular supports Dart, Node supports Dart, Flutter obviously it is use the Dart. It is statically typed language. Now, generally, once we are talking about the technical term, what is the meaning of statically typed? So you can just see, type of variable are identified on the compile time. So it's a faster process. It's a type in inference. For example, if I just write a variable where a is equal to 100. So in JavaScript, generally we are using the where is nothing but a variant keyword, which is used to initialize or declaring a variable. So it automatically detects the type of that particular variable. It depends upon the value. That is nothing but type inference. It can mimic the dynamic type with a special keyword called as dynamic. We are going to see this. It's very interesting part. It is a single threaded. Now this single threaded is again called as an event loop. Obviously, and it is a async programming. Async programming is very important. I will tell you in detail. Now, what kinds of basic things that we are going to study it in Dart, right? Let's say we are first we will start with the core Dart. So once you're targeting about the core Dart, as I told you, Dart is inspired from all the other languages. The syntax are similar, but it has a combination of a lot of different kinds of concept. Now, if you can see, the first thing is the data types. We have got two types of data types. If you can bifurcate it, we have got the basic data types as well as advanced data types. If you talk about the basic data types, which are very common to all, like int, double, boolean value, string. We have also know the string and versus string buffer. We have got something called string property and the string methods. So a lot of different basic data types are available, and something like the advanced data types which Dart provides. Dart provides three more or very important advanced data types, which are again very important. First one is list. It is used as like an index. Then there is something called a set. Set is having the data where you will find out that there are no duplicate elements, and then there is something called the map. It's a data type map wherein we can have the data which you can have the combination of key value pair. So these are the different advanced data types that has come up. Now there are some keywords like final, const. So there is a very basic important concept about what is the meaning of final and what is the meaning of const. Because these final and const, these keywords we already have seen in many kind of languages. Like C++ is also having the const keyword. Java is having the word called as final, right? So this is very important. In a runtime, there are two areas. If you bifurcate it, that is something called static runtime and dynamic runtime. So once you are declaring the variable as final and declaring the variable as const, then what is going to affect in runtime, static runtime as well as dynamic runtime? So on what level you want the effect? So that it depends upon which keyword you will going to select for what, right? There are different kinds of operators. I will not tell you the basic operator like plus, minus, divide and multiplication. There are more operators which that has come up. Something like null aware operator, null aware assignment operator, is not or as operator. The tiddle symbol is there, which is one more operator, and cascade notations. These are some operators which have been also introduced in Dart. That also we will see it along with the example. Now there are a lot of things like if else, ternary operator, switch case, continue label, and the string in case. These are also going to be used in Dart as well. There is something called a loops, labeled loops. Then we should come to know that label, what is the meaning of loop versus iterator. Like we are having the loop iterator, we are having so many keywords like for each, for in, and it's a wrapper on top of the iterator. So that also we will see it. Now I am going to show you the very important thing, that is something called as a Visual Studio, wherein we will actually do the wherein I am going to show you actually the programming, very basic programming. I think you can able to see this. This is a very basic program. Let's say I want to print hello world. So what kind of things? As I told you, it is inspired by JavaScript as well as Java, C, C++, and C Sharp. So just see it. If I am starting with my word main, just see it by I'm declaring one variable using var variant. You can see the syntax of JavaScript. This is the syntax of Java or C++. And I want to check, what is the type, runtime type of this A. Then I can able to check it. I want to print a value of A. Then this is a syntax like hello world and $A. $A is a variable, right? With the help of dollar, I can able to print the value. Next, I can able to check the B dot runtime type. What is the runtime type of B? I can also check what is the super type of that A. So A dot runtime, right? What is the top of the type? The type itself is a data type, right? The top of A is nothing but type of data type. So let's, if I want to execute it, then I will execute it. I will go in my folder. Now I am inside my folder. I am having the Dart file. So let's how to run the Dart. It's very simple. Dart space one dot Dart, and now you can check the output. Just see it. What is the type of A? A type is int. Then I'm going to print the value hello world 10. So this is something like type inference, what I just not talk about, right? And whatever we discuss the different kinds of the features of that programming language, we are just going to I'm going to show you the demonstration of some of the programs which will help you to start with the Dart language. If your Dart, all the concepts are very fixed in your mind, then you can able to do any kind of thing. As I told you, the front end, back end, as well as the mobile applications. And you can just see underscore type is the type of a type, right? So type is itself is a data type in Dart. The second program we will see is again a very simple program, but wherein you can able to see that how can you import Dart IO. Now you can see the same thing. You can also do it in Java. You also did it like import. I want to see java.io. and you can see then data input stream, and you have got so many classes which supports the java.io. The same syntax is there, but here we are having the some different APIs like dart colon io. We are going to use it, but now in this example I am going to take the accept the input from the user. So std out dot write, the dot write is a property, you can say I can accept the value, and as you see it's a synchronous function, it's a synchronous function. So read line sync, read line sync is very important. std in dot read line sync, and obviously whatever the input I am going to take it, it is in string format, I have to convert it using in dot parse. You store it in the variable, then you do the some manipulations and do print the result. So let's see how this going to be there. So now I will run this 2 dot enter the first number, I entered it, and now you can see the result, right? The result is 20, and now you can see after the result, right? So over here this is something like a very small difference between the syntax. I can have the expression within this print statement, but I have to put it in curly bracket. I have to put it in the curly bracket, whereas you can see here there is no curly bracket. A very small difference is there, but this difference counts a lot, okay, while doing the program. Now let's see for the different kinds of programs. Now very important thing that I'm going to show you how the asynchronous functionality is there. Now once you are talking about asynchronous, you will come to know that, let's say over here I will say 3 seconds, uh, I want this function, I want this output, I want this line to be called after 3 seconds, after 3 seconds. Then how can I do it? So I will go for it, that so let's say I'm having this in another folder. So now I run this particular program, async demo dot dart. Just see, after 3 seconds I'm going to print it. So this function is saying I am calling after 3 seconds. I am calling after 3 seconds. This concept is very, very important. This is something called async, right? So this concept is similar, it's the same as a promise you are giving. So this promise concept is also there in Node.js or Express.js. So you can able to see it. You can able to compare these two particular things. That also come in async type. Over here also you are going to call this function async. What is the meaning of it? So let's say if I go to the Domino's pizza shop, right? I order. So let's say one function is calling another function, right? Now I order for the pizza, and that particular guy says wait for 2-3 minutes, wait for some time, and the person who is there inside the pizza shop, right? He is giving me the promise. This is a promise. Yes, you are getting the output, but after some time, right? So after some time you are getting the output. That is something called async. Exactly what I'm talking about. This is something like the function programming. This is async programming, right? Where we can go for it. We can use these particular many kinds of things are there. Like there is something called a scope of the variable. There is something called a lexical scope. Lexical scope is one more scope. We know it, the global scope, local scope, and this is something called a lexical scope. And you can see we are having the nested functions also, because it's totally functional programming language, right? So even though you come from background like Java or C++ or anything like this, or let's say you don't have any background of programming, still you can jump into the Dart programming. This is the beauty of Dart, right? So my dear students, if you want to talk about only Dart, so you go for a Dart. Shifting from Dart to any kind of these particular languages is very easily you can jump for it. Okay, because Dart is having the mixture of all the languages, because it is inspired from all these things, right? So I think by this particular demo, I will end it over here. So thank you very much for listening my talk.